In this video, I'm going to show you a new feature that has recently been added to Schoology, and that is an item bank, which is different than a question bank. So question banks have been available for test quiz for a long time, but for assessments, which is kind of the updated version of test quiz is going away one day. One of the big drawbacks with assessment was they didn't have an item bank. Well, now they do. And so if you're in your resources, and so if you click on resources at the top and you are in your personal resources, so I'm clicking home in my personal resources. I'm going to go ahead and click in U.S. history and in the American Revolution, and actually even within causes of the revolution. You can see I've got an item bank here. Notice it has a similar icon as just an assessment does, which is the puzzle piece. It's just a puzzle piece within a folder. And so the way you can create an item bank is real simple. You click Add Resources, and then you will see right under Add Assessment is Add Item Bank. And so you can create that item bank. And you want to think about your naming conventions and how you're going to do that. I would suggest starting maybe with either a unit or subunit level. And so, because within an assessment, usually you're testing one particular unit or subunit, and so you can draw from that mostly from that one item bank. You will have it does have the capability though of drawing from multiple item banks, and so you can choose. So if you are making a semester exam, you can choose test questions from all the different assessment banks that you have created. And so very easily just add questions from each of those item banks. And so I would think carefully about your labeling and how you name each item bank. You can change it. It's not, so once you pick a name, it's set in stone. So I'm going to call this one just American Revolution. I already have a Road to Revolution item bank, and so I'm going to need an American Revolution item bank, and I create it. And so you can see it's empty right now. I can add all of the different types of questions that you can add to an assessment. I can add those in directly here to this item bank, and then I can, when it's time for me to create a test, I can draw from this item bank. Let me go back here to the causes of the revolution and show you one that I already have, this Road to Revolution. I just have a few items in it, and you can see those here. And it is not from within the item bank that you would add them to an assessment. So, because you'll see here, I can copy this question or delete the question. I don't have a lot of other options there. I just clicked on it. What you'll want to do when you're creating an assessment is, whether you're creating it in your resources or in your course, you can draw from the item bank. So I'm going to add a resource. I'm going to add an assessment, and I'm going to call this just a pretend assessment. Revolution assessment. And I'm not going to worry about the setup right now. I want to get to the questions. And you see here it says add from item bank. And so I click on that, and you've got either personal item banks that you've made. Right now I've stored them in my personal resources, but you could also create group resources and share them within a group. Right now, like if you've made it in your personal resources, they're still working on it. They don't quite have the ability to copy it to a group. You can move it to a group, but you can't copy it to a group. So I'm going to click on my personal resources, click home, click in U.S. history, click in American Revolution, and I'm going to click in causes of the revolution because that's where my item banks are. And we can see here's my two item banks. This one is the only one that has anything in it, and I can select which questions I want to put in that item or in that test. You can select them all, and then once you've selected them to put them in, add items. So now all these items are in this new assessment. Let's say I'm done for now. I'm going to go back out, and then I want to look at this. If I click back in and I click back on this item bank and go back through that process, and I click back on that, I can see it shows, wait, I've already added these questions to that assessment. So you don't have to remember which ones you've added and which ones you haven't. And so it's a great new tool. Like I said, they're still adding new features. I'm going to put a link to the description and kind of the basics explanation from Schoology in this for you as well, so you can see that, and you can see kind of some of the additional capabilities that they will be adding to this resource. So I would really highly suggest you start to use this. It can be very helpful for you in the future.